Today we're going to start off with a quote by Robert Heinlein. Many of you have probably heard of this quote. Let me read it to you. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, and die gallantly. Specialization is for insects. I learned that quote back in high school and thought it was brilliant then. And like I said many times on this channel, I like to memorize quotes. And that's one that has stuck with me for over the years. And it's something that I have reflected back on from time to time, especially now living on a homestead. And you learn many of those things, especially today on a modern homestead. You know, you have some of those things you have to learn. It's like there's no way out of it. And, you know, in our current education system that we have today, it's a complete mess. People are not learning just the basics of how to get through life, where things come from, how things actually get done. People are so used to going, for examples, people are so used to going to the store and just buying their food, getting it in nice little neat packaging, no matter what you buy, and thinking it just comes from the factory like that and having no idea of the time, effort, energy, and resources that it takes to make a lot of that food. And a lot of times how processed it is. But even the stuff that's not processed, like meat, what goes into that? Where did it come from? What did it take to grow and make that meat? Traditionally, at least. So all that to say, I've been wanting to do this video on college education. I like anything the government gets their fingers into, they ruin, absolutely ruin. And, you know, would I send my kids to college these days? Absolutely not. You've got to be half insane to even think about sending your kids to college today. See, and this is what I mean by government ruining everything. Because years ago, as I was getting older, but, you know, back when I was a kid, there was still a lot of families, a lot of people who had never been to college, and there was no hope for them ever being able to afford, you know, an education like that. And the college degrees that people had were really, really worth something. If you went to college, if you had a college degree, you were worth something. It was like your ticket. You were going to succeed. It gave you just a super higher chance of success in life. But like inflation, talked about this before, right? $100 trillion. See, if there's only a little bit of money in circulation in an economy, that money's worth a lot. But when there's lots and lots and lots of money in circulation in an economy, in a society, it's not worth that much. It's the same thing with anything in life. You know, people often refer to the tulip bulb mania. I believe it was of the Netherlands or Denmark or Holland, whatever it was, the tulip bulb mania. You can look it up. And back in, several hundred years ago, tulip bulbs were money. But then, because they were rare and they were precious. And so some entrepreneurial spirit-minded individual said, you know what, if I plant these tulip bulbs instead of spend them, I can make more tulip bulbs. Because they grow and reproduce. And before you know it, the tulip bulb bubble burst because everyone was growing tulip bulbs and they weren't worth anything anymore. It's the same thing with the housing bubble. The housing bubble is I'm getting messages from we're building inventory right now for Perfect Pickler. I'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, all these bubbles burst when you can make more of something. Well, when you say no child left behind and you send everyone and their mother's uncle to college, everyone now has a college degree and it's worth less. Because if everyone's got one, it doesn't mean anything anymore. That's what we have done today. The government came into colleges and said, we're going to send as many kids to college as possible because we want to ensure their success. And people voted for them saying, yeah, send my kids to college because that'll ensure their success. Sign me up. And, now we've gotten to the point where the student loans are being washed away and the government's paying for a lot of colleges if you're the right type of person. And now they're as worthless as ever. because everyone's got one. You can send the biggest idiot to college and he'll graduate and he has a college degree. But then he wonders why actual businesses who are in the business of making money and, making sure their stockholders, are given, dividends to make them money. They're like, I'm not hiring you. You didn't learn anything at that school. And today you have business employers who would much rather hire a blue collar worker than a white collar worker with a fancy college degree, pinned up on his wall. It's worthless because now everyone's got one. No way would I send my kids to college. And this is one of the reasons why homesteading is so important. I mean, if you really want to set your kids on the path to success, show them the meaning of hard work, show them the things that need to be done daily on a homestead, because they're going to rise. Like when I've said this before too on my channel, I grew up and at 15 years old, I got a work permit where I live, because you had to get a work permit if you started to work, officially at that age. And so I started working at McDonald's. And I came home every day. I worked there for 2.5 years because I knew the meaning of loyalty. My parents taught me the meaning of loyalty and to work for a job and to be loyal to my employer. Nowadays, you work somewhere for 15 minutes, you don't like it, you just go find another job. Today, but back then, I came home every day, stinky, smelly, smelling of grease. It was a horrible job. And I thought to myself as I got older, I want to make my kids work at a job like that because I want them to know what it's like to work hard, show up on time, and come home smelling like garbage, because it builds character. But then I had a homestead, and I'm like, I don't need to teach my kids that. They know that. The other day, we had to put down one of our older ewes. That's a female sheep, for those of you who don't know. Last year, it got mastitis, and we cured it. We used the Nixol, but she just did not do well this year. And so she had one lamb, which she should be having doubles. And the lamb did not, the lamb seemed to be okay, but the mom was not okay. She was having a real hard time of it. And she was having some other problems. And so we said, you know what? We're just going to cull her from the herd. And that was something, I didn't go out there and do it. No, I made my 17-year-old go out there, dispatch that female ewe, and take the body away, haul off the dead body. Most 17-year-olds have no idea. Most 17-year-olds, but he has an idea. He does that sometimes often. There's times throughout the year where he has to dispose of dead bodies or cull an animal from the herd, and it's just something that needs to be done. And I have a philosophy here for my animals. You are not pets. It's sink or swim. You're either going to make it or you're not. And if you don't, well, that's just the way it is. But I have to keep my homestead productive. There are no free rides here. Just like in life, there are no free rides in life. And if you do get free rides, which is what we see in the education system today, it's not worth as much. The free ride you get just isn't worth anything. It's not going to propel you in life. It's not going to make you succeed. It's not going to put you on a path to success and accomplishment. Would I send my kids to college today? Absolutely not. Not to mention the fact that these places are cesspools of sin and wickedness. They're just not worth anything. They're just not. So I know there's all of this hubbub going around about college loan forgiveness and all this stuff like that today. And it's just more indicative of the collapsing society that we are in today. I admit, I think I had some federal loans when I went to college, but the majority of my loans were private loans. If anything, if the government really wanted to help people, they would probably go to these private loan, places like Sallie Mae or Navient or whoever these people are nowadays. They change their names every few years. Why did they do that? It's a whole other video. But they're putting in interest rates for these, and they're trying to do practices in these companies that will never allow you to get out of debt. They want to keep you trapped as long and as forever as possible. And those are predatory practices. I agree with paying back your loans. If you take a loan, that's fine. But when you're young like that, they don't educate you on purpose because they want to keep you locked into these loans forever. I won't pay off my loans until I'm well into my 60s. If I just keep paying what I'm paying, and I'm paying extra. I'm paying extra. But they still regulate these things and they structure these things so that you can never escape. And if the government really wanted to help people, they get in and change those practices of these private loans. Forget the federal stuff. That's what they really need to do, in my opinion. The interest is what's killing people, you know. And I do have a cap on my interest, but they always keep it right near or at the cap because they want to get as much out of me as possible, and it's just wrong, in my opinion. Anyway, all that to say, you know, you agree to it, you pay it back. You know, you do the hard thing, and it makes you a better person. You know, at the end of it. If Joe Biden comes in and says, you know what, I'll just, you know, forgive all your loans, I'm not going to argue with him. I think this economy is going to collapse anyway, and that's just one more, you know, out of the, what's the big block tower where you pull the blocks out one by one until the tower falls over? That's just one more block out of the tower. This is an article from the New York Times, came out last month. It says, for some young people, a college degree is not worth the debt. Because of high costs, some high school graduates have opted to delay or drop out or forego attending college altogether to avoid student debt that could hang over them for decades. Smart move. This one from USA Today. Biden's so worried about canceling debt, he's ignored families who need to pay for college. Going back to my point that, you know, this isn't about just debt anymore, or taking out a loan that you have to pay back at a different later date. No, this is about, well, what about all the families who can't pay for college? Thus, we need the government to help pay for college. Thus, meaning, again, you have so many people getting degrees that they don't even pay for now. They have no skin in the game. There's no value to it. And so you have a college degree today? Fantastic. So does everyone else in the world. It means nothing. And finally, this over at CBS News, this came out recently too, just a couple days ago. Biden administration is forgiving $1.2 billion in student debt for 153,000 borrowers. The Biden administration on Wednesday says it's automatically forgiving $1.2 billion in student debt for 153,000 borrowers. Loan holders whose debt will be discharged will receive an email from President Joe Biden today informing them of the forgiveness, the Department of Education said. So the reason behind this, or why they're doing this, is it's not just to win voters. Hey, we forgave your debt. What this is really about is hopefully, instead of that money going to the federal government to pay back these loans, they want that money going into the economy. They want you to be buying things with your paycheck instead of sending it to the government. Because the reality is the government doesn't need your money. That ship sailed a long time ago. The government doesn't need your money. The government, if it needs money, will just print it. They don't need your money anymore. We'd rather you go down to Starbucks and buy a cup of coffee, or go buy a big screen TV, or go buy a new car, an EV, and use your money that way rather than, you know, send us. We don't need your money. If we want your money, we'll just print it. Money printer go burr. That's all they know these days. What do you think? Leave a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. This is a hot topic. People, because, you know, there's a lot of us who are in debt, you know, me included. I don't care so much about paying back the debt. My big thing is I think they need to be fair with the interest rates. So they need to be, and the structure, they need to allow these students, these former students, to pay off the debt. But what they do is even if you try to pay off some of the debt early, they penalize you in a way where you have now more debt. It's insane. That's wrong. That's just absolutely wrong. You take out a loan, you pay it back. But don't structure it in a way where you can't ever pay it back in order to keep you as a slave. No, do not send your children to college. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. I think, you know what? If you want to learn everything you need to learn to be successful in life, you can learn it on a homestead. What do you think? Leave a comment below. All right, check out our merchandise over at Perfect Pickler, our fermenting vegetable kits. I'll be an ad at the end. We're in the middle right now of redesigning the value package. This was the prototype that we got sent the other day, and so we don't have these yet, but they are, this one's actually a little bit smaller than the cardboard box we were using, so I'm trying to get that fixed. So I'm working with the manufacturer on that, but we are building inventory and redesigning some of our packaging. And check out these. Don't forget these Someone told me, so I got an email from one of the viewers the other day, says, The Amazon price for one of these now is $1,300. So I'm not sure which one it was. I mean, they used to be around $800 for one and $900 for the other, but I'll have to go back and take a new screenshot and see. But someone told me that one has gone up to $1,300. Guys, the reason these are so expensive is because of the information contained within. It's very valuable. It doesn't tell you how to make tinctures. It tells you why you use them. Something the pharmaceutical companies have been long trying to get rid out of, your ability to learn about. This stuff was written over 100 years ago by this guy, Dr. A.B. Howard. This was printed back in the 80s. They're out of copyright. They're out of print. And I want you to have them so that you can share them with your friends and then learn from them. The smart patrons over at patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead who are getting access to these are printing them out. Very smart. If the cloud goes down tomorrow, you saw the cell phones go down the other day, right? You won't be able to get these. So download them, print them out, make them hard copies. It'll be well worth your time to do so. And you get these for joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. I appreciate if you join at higher levels. I have other things that I'm going to be sharing with you and giving you guys as we go through. I got another PDF I'm going to start sharing with you too. But this, right now, you guys need to get these downloaded, and you can join for as little as $1 a month, my Patreon. And I appreciate those of you out there. You're amazing who join at higher levels because you're supporting the Homestead. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. Hey, see you next time at the Homestead. Bye. This is Grandma. Grandma survived the Great Depression. She survived the Great Depression because her supply chain was local and she knew how to do stuff. Grandma was smart. Grandma told us to make do with what you got. She also said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Homesteading is all about self-reliance and declaring ourselves to be independent from the system. We grow our own food, we raise our own animals, and doing these things helps safeguard our families from the unpredictable world that surrounds us. But what about banking? I love being my own power company, but what about being my own bank? Right now, our country is over $30 trillion in debt and rising. The Fed keeps printing money, and the Congress won't stop spending money. Staying attached to the modern banking system and their investment vehicles is like putting all of your eggs in one very, very fragile basket. On one side, you have the threat of inflation and your savings value floating away, and the other side is a possible deflationary stock market collapse, just like what happened in the 1930s. Genesis Gold Group is like a basket holding eggs, and these eggs are impossible to break. History shows us that all paper investments have and will return to their intrinsic value eventually, zero. But gold, silver, and other precious metals have never, ever been worthless. In every collapse throughout history, people have turned back to precious metals to find monetary value. If you have a 401k, an IRA, or a savings account where you're literally watching the purchasing power inflate away, give Genesis Gold Group a call right now, today, this instant. They can develop a strategy for you in the days ahead. I can tell you how I raise sheep, I can tell you how I raise chickens, or the best way to grow tomatoes, or how to hook up a solar panel. But Genesis Gold Group is your best shot at safeguarding your hard-earned savings and investments during this increasingly turbulent time in history. The link and phone number is in the description below, or visit their website at genesisgoldgroup.com. And be sure to say you heard about them from An American Homestead. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of An American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.